Hey there, true believers. You're tuned into Baxter Building Radio via the Negative Zone feed, and welcome to episode 36 of the Fantastic Four Fancast. My name is Nate Charles. I'm your host. And as always, I am joined by my co-host. His name is Shane Murray. Shane, how you doing tonight, pal?
I've had better weeks, buddy. Snowmageddon, as they've been calling it, has taken a toll on me. How about yourself?
Well, yeah, it is taking a toll on me as well. I'm only 20 minutes down the road from you. And I will say my life has been made easier by the gift that is all-wheel drive, but not by much. These knee problems I've been having have been exacerbated by the cold. But at the very least, I did find out some good news on that front today. I actually do not have any tears or whatnot, so hopefully this is just a bad strain or a sprain. I've got to do physical therapy, but with any luck, I'll be back walking like a normal person in no time.
That's that crooked number. We went over that other crooked number there, bud, and that's what that is.
Yeah, well, who wants to live forever, right?
Uh, I'm glad you're not don't have anything real serious. It's just
Oh,
tissue issues.
I was dreading having to go get surgery, man. Never had to get surgery before, and I'd like to keep that streak going.
We're coming up on the age where you have to get a colonoscopy, so that technically counts as a surgery, just in case you're wondering.
Hey, don't threaten me with a good time.
Get yourself flossed.
I'm gonna have to yell at my primary care physician as well as my dentist now. Is that what you're telling me? Not doing that.
Anyway.
Anyway, so aside from playing in the snow, what have you been up to, pal?
My dog's been sick all week, so I've been not sleeping, dealing with a lot of issues with the dog. But it's all right. She went to the vet today. It looks like it's just like some kind of weird gas bubble buildup, and I should be able to have it fixed here in a couple weeks. She goes back in 2 weeks for a double check to see if the bubble's all gone.
Oh, poor Willa. Hope she gets well soon.
Yeah, you could kind of tell she was taking a turn yesterday because yesterday she actually woke up in the afternoon. From Sunday till when she woke up yesterday, she was mostly just sleeping all day. And like she sleeps, but like this was extra hard sleeping. Like I've never seen her down. Like she wasn't barking at people walking up and down the street. It was like having a weird dog that wasn't my dog.
Well, I hope she's up and around soon. She's
Yeah.
my favorite horse.
Yeah. Yeah. So anything else on your front, bud?
I've just been, again, working on some convention organizing, dealing with the snow, but no, I've been probably the thing that I've done the most lately is I binge watched Wonder Man.
Did
And
you?
man, was that a treat. Like, I really enjoyed the 8 episodes of that were put out. I finished it maybe about an hour and a half before we started recording today.
Oh, did they put all episodes out on?
Yep, all 8 came out on the 27th of
Oh,
January.
I guess I know what I'm doing tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's a show that I think you can watch with your kids. There's nothing too over the top with it.
I might catch up on Fallout tomorrow.
Well, I need to also binge Fallout. I've been waiting for all the episodes to drop on that. But yeah, Wonder Man is just a very nice change of pace from all the stuff that Marvel's been putting out the past couple years. Very much has its own identity. Just a really fun show. This is coming from a guy who hated the Iron Man 3 twist with Ben Kingsley being an actor. Didn't really like that character came back in Shang-Chi, but that character is in Wonder Man, and I highly enjoy the performance. So,
Sure.
yeah, good good stuff. Highly recommend it.
All right. Oh, there was one little thing that I forgot to mention before we jumped on the air. I might send you the link for it. For drive-through RPGs right now,
Uh-huh.
they have the Marvel Snap stuff for free. That is the little bonus stuff that you can add to your Marvel Multiverse RPG. And it has one of the team tactics, but it has the cooler than that is it also has Lockheed and Fing Fang Foom as in stat sheets.
Well, yeah, you better send me the link for that. Did you see what their next expansion is going to be?
Not Fing Fang Foom.
Yeah, it's Marvel Rivals.
Are they doing it as an actual expansion, or are they going to be doing it as like what they did with this?
They're gonna do with what they did like the Kang Dynasty one.
My favorite thing about that thing is it added a team maneuver called Snap, where every character participating in this battle all has damage multipliers doubled for 1 round.
Oh, nice. I thought it was going to make everyone go into battle like they were in West Side Story.
I, like I said, I was real happy to see Lockheed have his own character sheet. So
Good. I'm glad. I like that. Well, Shane, on top of Snowmageddon, it is also freezing outside. Right now, I'm looking at the thermometer. It is 15 degrees outside while we are recording this. I know it's not that great temperature-wise around the rest of the country either, so let's say we go ahead and bring the heat and move into today's issue.
let's do it.
Today, Shane, we're continuing our working through the first arc of Carl Kessel and Scotty Young's Human Torch series, specifically Human Torch Volume 3, Number 4, cover dated for September of 2003, but released on July 16th of 2003 with a cover price of $2.50. I hopped onto pricecharting.com prior to our recording today, Shane, and we're going to be playing a little bit of an abbreviated game of Price is Right with you because I was only able to find a value for the ungraded copy and what it's been sold for since that time. That being said, what do you think, Shane, this issue, ungraded, has sold for at maximum?
Uh, $3.25.
Okay, by the Price is Right rules that we normally play by, where you got to guess the value without going over, you do win. However, it was $5.25.
I had the 25.
You did. You were off by $2.
Well, that's $2 in my pocket, and I can go buy something else.
Yeah, like gum.
Or something else in a back issue.
Maybe. Yeah, you get into the dollar bin. You might find something in there.
You never know when you might find a treasure.
So the creative team for today's issue, we have writer Carl Kessel, penciler Scotty Young. Our inkers were Joe Seung and Pierre-Andre Derry. Coloring duties were handled by Studio F, letterer Corey Pettit. Assistant editors were Mark Sumrak and Andy Schmidt. Editor Tom Brevoort. Editor-in-chief Joe Quesada. President Bill Jemis. And Keepers of the Flame, which as always is a very fun way to say Human Torch created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Shane, would you like to hear a synopsis for this issue?
Oh, sure.
All right. Well, courtesy of Marvel Unlimited, we have to find the combustion killer. The Torch must train to become everything he's not.
Simple and to the point. I like the combustion killer.
Yeah, some cool alliteration there. Our cover to today's issue is by Scotty Young and Pierre-Andre Derry. Shane, would you like to take us through that, please?
Oh, yeah, this cover is crazy. So you have Johnny completely flamed on and looking like he's attacking something off cover slash it would look like a panel really, but it looks like he's attacking something off panel. While it looks like a building falling down around him. You have so much broken pieces of wood and it's all charred. It's got really nice colors going on and the reds, the oranges, the yellows. It's just a striking cover. Like this cover jumps off the shelf at you.
And I would say, like you said, there's the burning building collapsing around him. I would say that this is the first cover since we started this series that I feel really has a link to the story within, aside from just, Johnny Storm, the Human Torch.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fair assessment for sure.
And I am a firm believer that that should be the case with all comic covers. However, Marvel Comics tends to disagree with me these days.
Also fair.
As per usual with these issues, our first page is our recap page. And so we have previously Johnny Storm is the youngest member of the world famous Fantastic Four, with the powers and temperament of fire itself. Impulsive, restless, and thrill seeking by nature, the Torch doesn't need to wait for the rest of the FF to have adventures. He can get into trouble all by himself. Years ago, shortly after gaining his powers and while still in high school, an enraged Johnny accidentally burned his classmate, Mike Snow, badly. Snow never told anyone what really happened to him, in time becoming a member of the New York City Fire Department. He never wanted to see Johnny again, until another fireman died before his eyes, inexplicably bursting into flames, like a human torch. Determined to find out what happened to his fellow firefighter, Snow turned to Johnny. The two formed an uneasy alliance, although Johnny wasn't convinced that they were dealing with anything more than a rare but tragic case of spontaneous human combustion. Then a fireball zigzagged down a street pursuing an intended victim, and Johnny knew something was very wrong. Something unlike anything Johnny had ever seen before. Stanley presents.
Burn Part 4.
When we turn from the recap page, we are led off with Wednesday, and we see the funeral for Vincent Costello, the firefighter who combusted back in issue 2. If you'd like to go back and listen to that story, that was in episode 27, where we covered Human Torch Volume 3, number 2. So describe what we're seeing here, Shane.
So from the start, you see the higher ups of the FDNY standing there looking on. You see other members as he's slowly parading by, saluting him as they take him on his last ride on a fire truck down through the cemetery. And eventually you get to where he passes under two trucks that have their ladder up with the American flag hanging down from it, and get to the grave site where you have the father there, giving the last words before they lay him to rest. You see his, did they say he was married? Is that his wife or girlfriend?
Well, they said he was married, but I think we can probably assume that this is his wife.
We're gonna go with his wife. His wife just full of tears, just utter sadness. You see the headstone, and then you see everyone, you see it slowly pan back to where you see Johnny staring at them from another hill in the cemetery. This is a very cool opening to this. I thought this was really cool, especially that they kept it wordless through this, minus the thing that said Wednesday.
And how is Johnny dressed for this funeral?
Oh, he is dressed like he was going to actually attend it. He's got like a nice trench coat on and looked like he dressed up to go there and then decided it was against him putting himself ahead of the firefighter's funeral. Because if he showed up, he would have taken away the meaning behind the laying to rest a firefighter.
And as Johnny watches, a voice comes from behind him and says, "Well, well, Johnny Storm, we ought to stop meeting like this, mate." And Johnny turns, and who does he see?
Oh, no one better than Sheila Donner.
And who is Sheila Donner, Shane?
She works for the Public Eye as a journalist, and not really a great one. It's basically a tabloid.
And back in issue 2 as well, Sheila, in a helicopter, got in the way of Johnny's test flight that he was doing for publicity and caused a massive accident that Johnny needed to pull her fat from the fire, for lack of a better term. They haven't seen each other since, but yeah, they're not really on great terms.
Yeah, and it looks like a cold day in like October or November, and she's like in a button up with no coat while Johnny's standing there in a full coat. I think it's a very funny juxtaposition of the two of them.
And she's got low-rise jeans on, an exposed midriff, and
Yeah.
yeah, not very seasonably dressed. But I believe she's Australian, so maybe she's got that hot Australian blood or something.
Fair
I don't
enough.
think that's actually a thing. I don't know.
I was wondering where you're going with that. But yeah.
Nowhere fast. That's where I was going with it. Uh, and Johnny turns back away from her and says, I've got a better idea. Let's stop meeting. Period. Shouldn't you be in jail somewhere, Donner? No, that's right. Vultures always circle the dead. Don't be modest, Johnny. You're no good at it. And call me Sheila. We should be on first name since we both know I'm only here 'cause of you. It wasn't hard to figure out where you'd be, considering how sources say you've been spending your time lately. Thinking of being a fireman when you grow up, eh? There's worse jobs, present company included. Now, no need for the nasty, Johnny. No one gets to decide which parts of their life make the news. Only in your case, it's all parts. Now I'm just a jolly journo doing her job, mate. Passing on the good word about your exploits and adventures is all. Don't see the harm in that, unless the word isn't good, unless there's something you're trying to hide. That's right, I almost forgot. Thanks for reminding me. And Johnny burst into flame, and Sheila rears back from the heat. I've got to go home and take out the garbage. You do that, mate. And I've got to go put together a little piece on a series of strange blazes hereabout. Know the ones I mean? Man goes up in flames. Another plays fox and hound with a bloody fireball. Only thing in common being your firefighting friends were around for both. Drag me through the mud all you want, Donner. Leave them out. You'd cost them their jobs. Like I said, Johnny, you can't choose the news. It just happens. Now, it could be I don't have all the information. Could be I look into this a little more, have some exclusive access to the story. We'd come up roses, all of us. Bottom line, Johnny, strangely enough, we both want the same thing here. So you scratch my back, and you won't stab me in mine. We turn the page and our scene shifts to Friday at the firehouse, where Johnny is meeting with Lieutenant Sean Matson. And can you describe Matson to us, Shane?
Yeah. He's a older gentleman. He's got a nice mustache, gray hair, gray mustache, and wearing a nice flannel button up. And he's got his cup of coffee there and just sitting in his office slash the upstairs of it, the fire hall there, and talking it out with Johnny about how Johnny can help figure out this fire situation.
And Matson says, can't believe it. Even if one of my men does have this pyrokinetic power, with the ability to do things even you've never seen before, they'd never set one of their own on fire. Never. And Johnny, sitting on the couch, says, I'm sure they wouldn't, sir. On purpose, at least. But accidents happen. Fire isn't easy to control, especially when you're first learning, when it's new to you, right? Yeah, thought so. Okay. Can you find out who's responsible? If I hang with the shift, get to know them, I think there's a good chance. And if there's any further incidents, I can handle them. Definitely. You won't get special treatment. You're here, you pull your own weight. Wouldn't have it any other way, Lieutenant. Any idea who it is? Gut feeling? If it's one of your men, and I'm not saying it is, sir, it could be anyone, even you. And we move downstairs to the firehouse where we see Mike Snow and Gherkin, and they appear to be doing maintenance on one of the engine's hoses. And Gherkin says, what do you think the lieutenant and Mr. Storm are talking about in there? And Mike Snow says, what everyone's talking about. And Palmer is talking to Mike's girlfriend, Rose Delaney, and says, wish you'd been there, Rose. Unlike any other incendiary event I've ever seen, the fireball actually went after that crow guy through the air, around a corner. Then the torch rocketed in and saved him, and the ball just burned itself out. Weirdest thing. I mean, why didn't it just keep following the guy? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Shane. Was Rose not there last issue when this happened?
So they definitely drew a rose there. Someone slipped up when they wrote this.
Okay. I could have sworn that Rose was there. And then we see Clark and Han standing together, who jump into the conversation, and Clark says, maybe it knew it didn't stand a chance against the high flying human torch. And Han says, dude, man, it is totally awesome Mike got the torture in on this thing. I got him here to help. I never expected him to solve our problem. Still don't. He's famous, not infallible. Take away his flashy powers, and he's just like you or me. Palmer continues. Okay, then here's a question. Anyone know if any other companies having these freaky fires? Clark says, not that I've heard. And Gherkin says, maybe they just aren't saying. Well, Han and me say whatever's causing this, bring it on. We fight fires, man. That's what we do. Don't give a damn if it's hellfire. No one's better trained than us. But Rose chimes in. Oh, and that really helped Vinny. Sorry. Think we don't know what we're doing? Think we don't know what's at stake? You know better, Rose. Discussion's over. You had your say. She had hers. Well, maybe she doesn't get a say. Maybe she doesn't put her life on the line every time we get the call. Spending so much time here maybe makes her some kind of mascot or glorified cheerleader, but it doesn't make her one of us. I didn't put up with that from Costello Gherkin. And it's okay, Mike. He doesn't know. Doesn't know I come from 4 generations of firefighters. Doesn't know I've studied every apparatus and piece of equipment in this station more than anyone except Palmer. Doesn't know I'd beat him at any department test or drill he cared to name, even with my heart defect. Tiniest thing, hardly worth mentioning. Never stopped me from doing anything I wanted to before. Never even slowed me down, which is exactly what I told recruitment when I tried to sign up. Geez, Rose, sorry. No one, no one told me. Yeah, Vinny was the one that made sure everyone knew. Like to rub my nose in it. Didn't think I'd ever miss that. And then who shows up on the scene, Shane?
None other than Johnny in full fireman gear.
And Johnny says, probably not the best cue to make an entrance on, but I gotta say 2 words: unstable molecules. One thin layer of cloth treated with these babies can be completely fireproof, look very styling, and weigh like 1/1 zillionth of what this outfit does. Of course, a dozen uniforms would take the department's entire budget, but you guys fight fires like this? I'm breathing hard from walking across the room. Feels like I'm carrying a subcompact car. Palmer responds, over 60 pounds, fully geared. And in a bad burn, you thank God for every ounce. While Clark chimes in, no doubt you do the turnouts proud, Torch. About time you became a real fireman. And Han says, man, I should have gone into space and gotten superpowers so I could have skipped all those tough department tests too. But Lieutenant Matson walks into the scene and says, it's only temporary. Johnny's going to do what he does best. Watch out for anything out of the ordinary around here. We thought that'd be easiest if he integrated into the team. He doesn't have any training, but luckily he's completely immune to fire. We can give him a crash course. And we're taken to the New York Fire Department training facility. Could you describe that for our listeners, Shane?
Yeah, it looks like a building that's about to fall down. It's got concrete that's crumbling off the brick. It has one window on fire because that's the one that they have to practice putting out. The fence is falling down around there that says keep out. And then you can see all of the other buildings that they tried for over the years of lighting on fire and putting out, lighting on fire and putting out. It apparently it eventually takes a toll on a building.
And the entire team has moved down there. And we see that Mike Snow and Clark have joined Johnny with being suited up, while the lieutenant is wearing his coat and hat and says, "Basic search and rescue drill. Exactly what this training structure was built for. We'll keep it simple this time. What we know is flames are blowing out the second floor's delta side, and there's one occupant somewhere inside. We'll do this two in, two out. Clark and Han, you're on standby. Snow and Storm, you've got first line. Find our dummy victim, bring him out, and win the fame and ovation of the people forever." "Okay, what do I do?" "Everything Snow tells you. Like Simon says, except this isn't a game. First priority is preserving life. We'll probably have to damp down some hot spots, but given the option, we always get the victim out before we put the fire out. Nozzle's all yours, door's all mine." And Mike hands Johnny the hose before busting through the door with an axe, Shane.
Yeah, with a nice creak.
And the lieutenant shouts, "Move, move, move." And Johnny and Mike enter. "Don't see anyone." First floor's clear. "Got a spark over here, Johnny. Could flare up. Cut off our escape. Put it out of our misery. One solid stream. Square on." "Think got much kick?" "No." And Johnny turns on the hose, but what happens, Shane?
With a nice whoosh, he goes flying out of control as the hose just takes off on him.
Nah. Usually. "Palmer, you read? Hose is running a little hot. Turn down the pressure. Thanks." He looks at Johnny. "Sorry. Happens." "Yeah. Nozzle's all yours." "Whatever. We're proceeding to the second floor. Follow me and stay close. Shade the hose. Keep it moving free of encumbrances." "Up the stairs?" "That's where the fire is." And Mike begins to proceed upstairs. "Ugh. I like the other kind of shagging lots better." And Johnny follows him up the stairs carrying the hose. "How can you see anything in that stuff?" "Can't. Stay low. Hands and knees. Look under the smoke." And Mike does so. Oh, yeah. Perfectly clear for about 6 inches. Right hand search. Move along the perimeter, keeping your right hand on the wall. Stay in visual, voice, or touch contact with me at all times. I can hear the fire. You could be almost on top of it before you see it. We'll deal with it then. Couldn't we just wet down the whole room? Sure, except 1 gallon of water becomes 1,700 gallons of steam. And a rescue victim becomes a scalded victim. Got it. Plan B? Swing out your axe handle. Probe towards the center of the room, and Mike starts clearing the smoke this way. "Hey, I think I see something in the center of the room, under the smoke. Wait here." "Johnny, no. Don't break contact with the wall or hose or—" "Nag, nag, nag. I'm still in voice contact with you, Snow. Don't think I'll ever get away from—" And what does Johnny find in the smoke?
He finds an arm with a hand attached to it.
And we have a winner. Victim found. Took you long enough. And the hand wrenches itself out of Johnny's grip. And suddenly, what do we see outside, Shane?
We get a nice karoom as he is exploded out the building.
In a huge ball of flame. Palmer, looking on, says, "Nice horizontal ventilation, but I didn't think he was supposed to use his powers." And Han says, "I don't think he did." And we see a figure emerge from the smoke, Shane. Can you describe this woman?
Yeah. So she's wearing a skin tight black suit, reminiscent goggles of Mr. Freeze, with a backpack that has all kinds of lines going off of it, and then a belt that would make Jim Lee ecstatic with all of those pouches.
When you say reminiscent of Mr. Freeze about those goggles, what do you mean, Shane?
The silver and red just stand out against the black, like Mr. Freeze's goggles.
That backpack actually has looks to be comprised of some sort of exhaust pipes.
Yeah, or it's something because it definitely has some kind of tail of smoke or fabric of some sort. Maybe it definitely should be smoke. I'm assuming
Yeah,
it's different against the fire smoke though, so I'm not positive what it actually is. But it could be exhaust smoke coming out the back.
and this figure says, pitiful, pathetic, please. Thought it was over? It isn't over until I say it's over. You boys aren't just playing with fire anymore. You're playing with Firefox. But suddenly, what happens to Firefox?
She gets hit with the hose with a nice. Psh.
And Han says, got her. And Johnny is pulling off his fireman gear and flaming on. Great. Now leave her to me. Flame on. And he takes off into the hole that he was tossed through, while Mike Snow, standing in the smoke, calls out to him, Johnny. But what does he hear in response?
A nice whoomp.
And Johnny comes careening out of the smoke and impacts with the wall behind Snow.
Yep, with a nice thrack.
I'm uh I'm gonna get you a t-shirt and it's gonna say with a nice and then it's gonna say parentheses sound effect. And on the back it's gonna say fun little romp.
Catchphrase.
Yep. Or maybe I'll just start getting like shirts made with your face on it and I'll have like individual ones down below.
This man only has 5 sentences. The chat GPT of communication.
And Firefox begins marching her way through the smoke toward Snow. I knew I was good. I didn't know I was that good. And Mike tries to turn on the hose to create a stream to neutralize her, but she says, nice try, but I've gotten wet enough for one day. Thank you very much. Your hose was burned through down below, which I believe leaves you completely at my mercy. And Johnny has flamed off and is pulling himself up from the floor and says to Mike, just keep her talking while I catch my breath. What do you want? Well, money's always nice, but in the meantime, I'll settle for revenge. See, I didn't wake up one morning and decide I'm going to be a supervillain. No, I woke up one morning and decided I'm going to create a fire control device. And since I'm an inventor, that's what I did. But did the New York Fire Department appreciate my genius? No. They weren't interested in purchasing my breakthrough mechanism for what I'm certain they will soon consider a paltry sum, because it didn't suppress fire as much as it displaced it. So if I draw a fire from, say, somewhere behind me, it has to flare up someplace else. And that fire begins to flare up around Firefox, and she raises her fist in the air, and the flame follows it, which I must admit lends itself much better to illicit activities. And as the fire increases, so does the smoke. Mike calls out, Johnny, I'm fine. Nice and toasty warm, even. Where'd she go? And Firefox's disembodied voice comes through the smoke. Not far, Torchy. Can't get enough of me, can you? I like playing with you, too. Okay, big truth time. Costello was a random pick. Plan was to move on, share the suffering with the entire department. Little grief here, little pain there. Payback for being snubbed at the fireman's ball. Then you showed Johnny Boy, and, well, I just had to stick around to dance with the human torch. And Johnny's eyes light up with flame, followed by his hands as he approaches her through the smoke. Think you stand a chance against me? And he lets loose with a torrent of flame that she just walks through, says, no, I think I can beat you. And she takes his own flame and tosses it back towards Mike Snow, who Johnny pushes out of the way while shouting, Mike! Don't worry about me. I won't. Now that you're outside, you can burn, you can die. First priority is preserving life, remember? Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a fire to put out. And Mike goes flying out of the hole created by the explosion, the hose still attached to him, and he ends up swinging down and crashing into the wall just above ground level. And he leaves an impact crater, so that had to hurt.
Definitely didn't feel good, that's for sure.
And then what happens, Shane?
Crack boom as the building blows up.
Yeah, I would say the entire top three floors meet an explosive end here. And the firefighters begin dodging out of the way as debris falls to the ground. And Johnny exits the rubble with Firefox being carried over his shoulder, and he says, Gentlemen, may I present Firefox, the fireball femme fatale, the killer of Vincent Costello, and the end of your troubles. And the firefighters start hooting and hollering. Most excellent, totally amazing. You are the man, Torch. He did it, Mike. He's got this completely under control. But Mike puts his hand in his pockets and begins to skulk away and says, Yeah, but with Johnny, that's when things blow up in your face. To be continued. All right, Shane, what did you think of Human Torch Volume 3, Number 4?
I am glad it wasn't more of a filler issue. We finally got moving like head first, real hardcore into this story. And Firefox was a cool little introductory character here for this one. We kind of blew past it. The one thing that really made me think of her as Mr. Freeze is page 18, the second panel there, where you see all the smoke around her and her eyes just light up red as she's walking out in silhouette.
Mm-hmm.
It's very reminiscent of Mr. Freeze from Batman the Animated Series.
Do you know who did that design, by the way,
Which one?
for Mr. Freeze in Batman the Animated Series?
Not off the top of my head now.
Mike Mignola.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that's stuff. And that panel is a very Mike Mignola panel.
So overall, enjoyed it. I kind of can't wait to see. I'm sure we're gonna get a unmasking of Firefox here in the next issue or two. So I'm trying not to break the story or read ahead. So what about yourself?
I like this issue. Lots of action. Always nice to see the Human Torch have a throwdown with another fire-based character. But it also dawns upon me that we are on part 4 of 6. So plenty of twists and turns to be had going forward, I hope. But overall, yeah, I like this part. Very cool. And I feel like it informs a little bit more to Johnny's character going forward. So that is also always a plus to see. Shane, you go first this week in our Fantastic Four of the week. What was your fantastic frame for this issue?
Page 19, panel 2.
Oh, wouldn't you know? Which one is that, Shane?
That's the one where she has the fire wrapping up around her and she's got her one fist up in the air. It just really stood out.
It is an excellent villain pose. One of the things I actually like about her design a lot, and you see it very well in this panel, is, and it is very Scotty Young. Look at how skinny her arm is compared to her gloved hand.
Yeah, it's very early 2000s art style. It reminded me of Kingdom Hearts gloves a lot.
It's very stylized.
Yeah.
For such a simple design of a villain, between the black cat suit, the full face cow, the goggles, those gloves. I mean, the most complicated part of that design is the exhaust backpack there. but that's really it. Like, it is an excellent design in its simplicity.
I was flipping through and I'm like, man, there's so many panels to pick. Like I almost went with one of the ones from the funeral. And then I was like, nah, I have to go with this one. This one really just spoke to me about her pose, the fire. The fire even reflects off of the suit. It's just the way to go. So what was yours, bud?
Mine was page 13, panel one, where Johnny gets tossed around by the high pressure hose purely for comedic reasons. Don't get me wrong, I like Johnny. I enjoy his character. It's always great when things go wrong for him and they involve water. Just get a giggle out of it every time.
It's fair. So that brings up our Grimm's grumbling. What's yours, buddy?
So it's grim, grim, not Grimm's.
I don't know why I was at an S to it. It's literally written down for me with an S.
Cross out the S.
It's a apostrophe S.
Oh,
Grimm's like he owns the fact that he's grumbling.
singular grim, one grim.
Well, there's two of us, so it's two of us grimming and grumbling. So there's not singular.
I will get off this call right now. Anyway, my grim grumbling for this week, Shane, would be page 21, panels 6 and 7. That is where Mike Snow impacts with the building so hard that he craters it. This is a normal human being. And frankly, I don't care if he is wearing 60 pounds of fire protective gear. He should not just be standing up and walking away from that on page 22.
Oh, I mean, don't forget, he was pretty much an Olympian beforehand. He's not quite a normal human being.
Yeah, okay, still. That is one hell of an impact.
Oh, for
And
sure.
there is no way he, without some form of minor invincibility, should be able to just get up and function like a normal human being.
Oh yeah, I'm
Mike should
not
have
just.
broken bones. He should have a punctured lung. Like this totally I it defied my suspension of disbelief.
It's the gas chamber on the back, the gas chamber on the backpack, the air tank. The air tank hit first, so he was protected.
It's like this is almost like a Bugs Bunny crater. Like it's his whole body. I mean, look at how big the crater is.
Uh,
You look at that. Like, look at that.
yeah, but I think it was because the air tank punctured, so it blew up behind. It blew him off there a little bit. I'm
I
not
don't know.
disagreeing. He's hurt. He's definitely shouldn't be walking away from it, but he is because it's comics,
Yeah, still pulled me
and
out of
his
the
name's
book.
not Gwen Stacy.
Yeah. Anyway, what's your grim grumbling?
Yeah, so the meatheads on page 8 and 9. So Han and Clark, they're like my grim grumbling all the time. They're not even funny. They're like the two guys in high school you wanted to just punch in the face.
I'm sure they are acquired taste for the entire department, but no, that's simple to the point. They are definitely not for everyone. How about your cosmic cliffhanger, Shane? What did you have for this issue?
I had page 15, panel 5. So when you just see the hand sticking up with like the forearm with that giant glove breaking through the smoke there.
When he realized that what's supposed to be a dummy is actually alive.
Yep.
No, that's a good one. That's a good one.
It was like it was they were supposed to find a train dummy and they found a human that they definitely didn't expect to be there. So I couldn't wait to quite see where that went from there. What was yours, bud?
So mine was page 22, panel 5, the last page of the book. What Mike brings up is a fair point. I mean, this story isn't over by a long shot. We're at part 4 of 6, so plenty of things can still go wrong here. But it did hype me up for reading the next issue, I'll tell you that much.
I'm sure the next issue will be a fun little romp. Don't worry.
Everything's a fun little romp for you, bud.
Nuh-uh. There's some stinkers in there. And I didn't say that about this one.
That is true.
Gonna try to change my dialogue, I guess. I only have option A, B, X, and Y, okay? I'm sorry I hit A lot.
Okay. It's part of your charm. So, moving along to most fantastic player. I initially thought about awarding this to Johnny again because it's his book, therefore he usually does the most. But instead of doing my normal going through the book and kind of making a checklist and taking inventory of everyone's actions, I decided I was going to give MFP to Mike Snow purely for him training Johnny. Because what it does for the character is it gives the torch an invaluable look at how actual firefighting is done, and it can provide him with unique perspectives and ideas in future Human Torch stories with how to use his powers. So I really enjoy that. So, and you don't get that without that Mike Snow training sequence. So Mike Snow gets the nod from me this week. How about you?
I did go with Johnny, which does seem to be a little on the head.
One would
Only
even
be
say on the nose, maybe.
I don't know. I went with him because, he went and talked to the lieutenant to just to even try to get like temporary membership so he could try to figure out what's going on. And then he was the one that found the body, though the villain was she put herself there. And then he was the one that was able to stop the villain before she did anything else, but she already, well, should have basically killed Mike Snow. So it was a little late for that, but
Honestly, so should Johnny have killed Mike Snow, when he shoved him out that hole and he went swinging into the building and made a wily coyote crater.
I mean, Johnny also caught him on fire once, so
True.
Mike Snow, Mike Snow is a champ.
Just not an Olympic one.
Oh, was that too soon?
Yeah, it's been over 20 years.
He seemed pretty salty about it when they brought it up in the second issue. But yeah, so I went with Johnny. I'm really hoping that like I know I had Mike Snow for issue 2 because I think you had the what's her name for issue 2, the PR lady.
Oh, Vita.
Yeah. So I've already given Mike Snow he is a champ, man. He puts up with Johnny's shenanigans going on around him. So and he keeps inviting him back to bring those shenanigans that he knows is going to happen.
Yep. All right. So one for Mike Snow and one for Johnny. Well, true believers, if you would like to go search out this story for yourself, it has been collected in Human Torch Burn, which was a trade paperback first released in April 2009. And it was also in Human Torch by Kessel and Young, the complete collection, another trade paperback which holds the entire series. It was published back in July of 2014. You can also find it on Marvel Unlimited or at your local comic book store. Shane, any guesses as to what we are covering next week?
Burn? Are we back to Burn?
We are back to Burn, and we will be continuing with his run, picking up with Fantastic Four Volume 1, number 234. Once again, true believers, we would like to thank you for joining us here this week. Your feedback, as always, is important to us. We would highly appreciate it if you left us a 5-star review on Apple or a comment on Spotify. Those 5-star reviews would help the show a lot. We haven't gotten any yet, so we would love if one of you would be willing to take the initial dive and give us some feedback that way. You can subscribe to us on your preferred listening platform, whether it's Apple, whether it's Spotify, Amazon, RSS feeds, however you want to do it. That way, we will show up each and every week. You can find us on Facebook at the Fantastic Four Fancast, where we encourage you to engage in FF related discussions and share Fantastic Four content. We only ask that you adhere to the group rules, the most important of which is being respectful of your fellow posters. We did recently update our group rules, so make sure to check those when you register. We hate to have to throw down any bans. We Love the enthusiasm, but sometimes we have to worry about things like copyright law. So no one wants to get sued or get banned from Facebook. You know, Shin, the Facebook group's actually over 400 members now.
That's nuts.
Yeah, lots of fun stuff starting to pop up in there. You can also find us on Instagram at Fan4Fancast. That is FAN, the number four, FANCAST. And you can contact us by email with any feedback or suggestions at fan4fancast@gmail.com. Again, that is FAN, the number four, FANCAST@gmail.com. Shane, what final thoughts would you like to leave the true believers with this week?
Yeah, I hope that you guys check these out because we try to do a just cause of like giving like a rundown slash read through of the book, but we don't do the art any justice or anything. So it'd be really nice for everyone to go out and actually take a look at this book because I think this is a book that's like I don't want to say it's a hidden gem, but it's definitely not brought up in discussions, and it's a cool book, and it's a nice growth of Johnny. Even in these four issues, you see a lot of growth from when Johnny got his powers to where he's at right now with the like Mike Snow training sequence, or as he called it, Simon Says.
Shane is right. We don't have a visual component to the show purely because we want you guys to seek it out these stories for yourselves, give them a read, and most importantly, enjoy that artwork because just incredible artwork on this story by Scotty Young, the classic Jack Kirby stuff, the John Burns, like everything. The visual component is, well, fantastic. So you definitely should be looking at those.
Yeah. So I'm like I said, pretty much every time we finish one of these, I am always going to refer to you to read it. Like, yeah, we do a pretty good job, I think, of putting out the stories, but it's a comic. Comics are a visual media. You're losing a very big part of it without having the visual media.
At least half.
Yeah.
But very well put, Shannon. Always a good reminder. Can't wait to do this again with you next week.
Oh, dude, I'm so excited.
Well, true believers, for Shane Murray, I'm Nate Charles, and until we see you again, stay fantastic.